This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, February 3rd, 2006, and this is episode number 56 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from ngmstudios.org. Today's show includes the co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World, Lean Teestay. Is that how you say
it? Leonard Fiesta.
And the maestro of Mouse World Radio, Mike Newell, is on. Welcome, Mike.
Hello.
And we also have the man of many intros, Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
10,000 years can give you a crick in the neck.
Very nice.
What's that from?
Aladdin.
Wishes.
Oh, okay, all right.
What, are you new to this?
I vaguely remember it, yes.
Today we're going to discuss the pros and cons of renting a car versus using Disney's transportation, as well as share some of our tips and information for renting a car. So let's start with first, who should rent a car that's going to Walt Disney World?
Well, if you're staying off-site, obviously.
Yep.
Well, you could stay off-site and theoretically use complimentary transportation that the hotel may offer.
Yeah, but it's not that good. If you're staying off-site and you're relying on the hotel's transportation, keep in mind that most of those things run once an hour at best. For most of the off-site hotels. Downtown Disney is a little bit different, but even then, you're sharing a bus and making multiple stops. Also, people who I think are staying at some of the farther resorts, like especially the value resorts, Pop Century, and All-Star Resorts, possibly Caribbean Beach,
Animal
I
Kingdom
think would benefit from having a car just so they can get to better dining places. Certainly also true for Port Orleans as well. So values and moderates, I think there's a compelling reason to rent a car.
Animal Kingdom Lodge, like Mike Scopa just said?
Yeah, and there's an added advantage to Animal Kingdom Lodge because I think they have the best valet service at the of any Walt Disney World resort. And there was this, I don't know if she's still there, probably not because she was a kid, but there was this girl that worked the valet there that every morning when I wanted to get my car, I would, she would hand her the ticket, and she would take off running like Zola Bud, which is my South African reference. Thank you. And she would take off running for the car, and she had this long ponytail that she would wear, up, and to see it running at like 6 o'clock in the morning, she was just so energetic. It was always enthusiasm to see her running. It was great. Those were the days. What were we talking about again? Sorry.
That's all right. Let's start with the pros of renting a car. I mean, certainly you could rent a car if you stayed at any of the resorts. What are some of the pros of renting one?
The convenience of having a set of wheels so that if you have a spontaneous thought of doing something during the middle of the day, you can just take off and go there with your car. You don't have to wait and be at the mercy of the Walt Disney World transportation system.
Well, never mind that, Mike. I mean, even when parks close, where it's probably the hardest time to get a bus, that gives you the advantage of, you're guaranteed to have your vehicle waiting for you, and it will take you right to, fairly close to where you're staying.
And you have a comfortable seat.
That's right. Not to mention, I mean, the whole day you've been squished next to lots of people you don't know. It's nice to have kind of like, your own little space for the ride home.
I mean, I think for any theme park other than the Magic Kingdom, it's always faster to drive.
Yeah, except for the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I was going to say is that having a car gives you access to amenities outside of Walt Disney World, such as cheaper meals at restaurants found in local area. Certainly, if you also want to go to some of the other attractions, like Universal or SeaWorld, God forbid, you would have the ability. You have no means of doing that if you're at the mercy of Disney. So some people may find that interesting. Any other pros for renting a car?
Save money, off-site dining, convenience, faster. If you ever wanted to try out that new Dodge Neon or the new Hyundai Accent before you buy, there's always a good that's always a good reason.
Plus, also if you're a good example might be, say, if some of your party, or perhaps all of your party, doesn't want to go to the parks every day. And like you said, I mean, some people do rent, like, for instance, like a convertible. And, if you're in Florida, there's no better place than Florida to rent a convertible, so you can take that out and go nuts. The cons of renting a car.
Extra cost.
Well, it's more expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's just not in the cards for some people, so.
Yeah, you got to.
There's that. There's having to fill it up. The gas tank up on the way back is always just a pain, because if you're using the turnpike, which I think is probably the best way to go, once you get on the turnpike, it's hard to find a gas station. And Mike, did you rent a car last time you were there?
Yeah, there are two places that I usually go to, and there's the Hess gas station down near downtown Disney that I usually fill it up, and I think I go 417 on the way back to the airport, and there's another station on the right that you can get to, and it's usually about 15 miles before the airport. And if I don't do one, I'll do the
it's
other.
like a convenience store on the right-hand side.
Yeah, near a set of lights, near an intersection, and I haven't had any problems. I just, I do it on the morning that I leave, so it means I need to leave a little bit early or whatever. But, it's just a little inconvenience. But,
I think the one on 417, it wasn't like it's not a Hess, it's like a Citgo or something. That's the closest one, I think. And the reason why it's important is, I usually rent from Dollar. And Dollar is now requiring you, if you don't take their prepaid fuel option, Dollar's requiring you, when you return the car, to show a receipt from a gas station within 10 miles of the airport. And the Hess by Epcot, there's that one between the Swan, the Dolphin, and the Boardwalk. That's like 14 miles away. So that's probably not good enough. But I think the one that you mentioned on 417 is just within the 10-mile border.
The other thing with renting a car is that gas prices in the state of Florida tend to be a little more expensive than some of their southern counterparts. I know if you, being a northerner, I drive down sometimes, through all the states over there, and as you progress to the south, the prices start to get lower and lower and lower, and probably you hit the lowest prices somewhere in Georgia or perhaps South Carolina, but in Florida, they kind of spike back up again. So prices for gas aren't going to be the cheapest in the nation. It's not going to be like Hawaii by any means, or California, where you're going to pay, a ridiculous amount. But it's still something to consider, considering how gas prices are these days.
It's not terrible. It's about the same as in North Carolina. So I think if you're coming from a state with a lot of with a fairly high gas tax, then it probably won't be much different to you.
Yeah. Let's move on to the pros of using Disney transportation. Now, this includes the Disney bus system, the monorails. That's probably about it, I guess.
Well,
Ferries, yep.
Right off the bat, you don't have to worry about, where the heck did I park the car? You go right to the bus, and at the end of the day, when you leave the park, you go right to the bus terminal, and bang, make sure you take the right bus, and you're on your way. Whereas if you have a car, you have to say, did I park in Donald or Disney or Mickey or Minnie or
Yep. And also, if you're not an annual pass holder, we forgot to mention that you'll have to pay sort of now a hefty parking fine. Yeah, $9 to park at Disney. So that's something to consider if you're not an annual pass holder, or staying at
the Disney Resort.
Disney Resort.
I think you also get free parking if you're a Disney Dining Experience. If you hold a Disney Dining Experience card and you're going to the theme park to dine.
Huh. That's interesting. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, I was reading my benefits. This is my renewal notice.
But wouldn't you have to have an AP? Wouldn't you have to have an AP to have the DDE? No.
Say it again.
Don't you?
Don't you have to have it? Apparently not.
No, it's discounted if you have an annual pass.
Yeah.
You can get it otherwise.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Let's get back to the pros of Disney transportation. Like Mike said, the other benefit is that when you're after a long day of going in the parks, you can certainly just have someone else drive you back to your resort, which is always nice.
Yeah, and the bus stops are right at the front gate.
Yeah. Although some resorts, like Len was hinting to, like Caribbean Beach comes to mind, can be a rather far hike for some of them.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're staying in there, it's quite a distance to get to the food court. And even then, I mean, if you're staying for 2 weeks or even a week or 10 days, there are only so many times you can eat at the Caribbean Beach food court before you want to go somewhere else. And especially if you want to save money, a car is the best way to do that. You do not want to use Disney transportation to go between resorts. It's just not the way to go.
First of all, I mean, there really isn't a way. You'd have to go to the park, one of the parks.
Or another. You have to go to an interim destination, right?
And it's also true if you want to go to, say, downtown Disney or Boardwalk. I mean, some of these. Well, that's another resort, I guess, the Boardwalk area. But some of the other amenities are a little bit more difficult to get to. But anyway, those are cons, really. Let's stick to pros. We're really slamming Disney's transportation system. A Magic Kingdom, if you're staying on a Magic Kingdom resort, certainly you have the benefit of...
If you're concentrating on the Magic Kingdom and you're staying in a Magic Kingdom resort, I don't think you need a car.
The buses do come fairly often, I would say. I mean, you're rarely waiting more than... Even if you just miss one, I would say if you waited 10 minutes, I mean, that would really be a stretch right there.
Nah, you'd be wrong.
Think so?
Yeah, well, we did the bus survey last year. I think Disney's goal is to have a bus on average every 20 minutes at a resort. In practice, it's closer to 25 minutes. And they're using that Magic on Demand thing, so a lot of it depends on how many people are at a particular resort, the time of the day, and things like that. But I think on average, 25 minutes is a more realistic number than 20. 10 is certainly out of the ordinary.
Any other pros of Disney transportation?
I mean, for what it does, it's efficient. It's free, reasonably competent. You really can't compete it for on-site transportation as long as you're staying on-site. The downside is it locks you into the Disney choices for dining and for entertainment, and those things tend to be, expensive, again, because of that. So.
Are we also talking Disney's Magical Express?
I was just about to mention that, Mike. That's certainly another option. The advantage of, you're saving, depending if you figure that Disney's Magical Express is comparable to the Mears travel service that they used to have, or they still have. What does that run, about $30 a person, give or take?
Yeah,
so you're saving, you're saving the money there, and then, so you'll never have to pay to go anywhere, really, once you arrive at the airport. And that can save you, certainly, some money right there.
Right.
Especially now that it's free.
It's also good if let's say you're a single woman going down to meet some friends, and you don't want to.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want to take a chance with anything else other than public transportation, like Disney's Magical Express.
Well, we hit upon some of the cons of Disney's transportation. What are some other ones, if we haven't already outlined them all before?
That's it.
You're on their schedule and not your schedule.
Yeah, the buses can be very crowded. The other thing I hate is, unfortunately, coming from New York City, where, they cram, there's no room for anyone on the trains or the buses because they cram people on there like that. But the Disney crowd tends to be very picky about sitting down or not on a bus. And I often, if I'm waiting in line for a bus, I see buses, and you can see in the middle you could fit at least another, 5 to 10 people in there, and they're not terribly good about forcing people to move in. So it's not, I think, it can be inefficient at times. That's what I'm trying to say. But let's go on to, back to renting a car. What are some of our favorite companies that we rent from?
Well, I use either Alamo or National most of the time. They both really are owned by the same parent company. I think maybe National owns Alamo, but I'm not sure about that. But I usually go back and forth and I check the rates, and I'm usually using one or the other, although I have used Dollar as well.
Well, I've used Hertz in the past, and I assume they all have this service, but Hertz had the what you want from any rental car company is the ability to get in and out both when you're renting the car and returning it very quickly. You don't want to have to sit there and, spend, an hour getting your rental car or returning your rental car. I found that they were fairly speedy giving you your car. They have a booth. Having a rental car company that has a counter at the airport is incredibly important to me.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to waste your time with any of the other companies that have off-airport locations, it's just too much of a hassle.
And especially when there are inexpensive alternatives on site, there's just no way. There's no reason to go off site.
Absolutely. And the return on Hertz is what I really liked. I mean, you literally park the car, throw the keys in, and you're done. I mean, it was really, and I didn't even sign up for the VIP service or anything like that. And I assume that probably a lot of the other companies have similar services by now that mirror that type of quick drop-off. Hertz also had Hertz also had the ability, you could pick your car. You know, you have a type of car, whether it's a moderate or a compact or whatever, and you get to pick whichever one there is. Mostly that's picking between
From among Dodge Neons.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's not too much selection, but occasionally you'll have a Neon versus a Ford Focus or something like that. I mean, you'll have certain choices. Len, who do you usually use when you rent?
I check mousesavers.com for any deals.
You go where the money is.
Yeah, I mean, I have no preference. Cars are cars as far as I'm concerned. It could be I actually considered renting one time a Daewoo Lanos, which if our listeners have the chance, go out and look for a picture of the Daewoo Lanos, Lanos, it's Daewoo, on Google, because you'll see that in 2002, it was arguably the inspiration for. You've seen that TV commercial where a guy's driving a two-door Spec.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that car. When I saw the commercial, I'm like, hey, it's a Daewoo Lanos. They're gonna get sued. It was the smallest car ever, and I would have rented that happily, because it would have gotten me and my luggage to Disney World and back as cheaply as possible. But usually I go with $1 and budget, because as far as my experiences go, they've been the least expensive ones there. I'm members of both the $1 Fastlane Club and the budget, whatever the budget thing is.
Yep.
The advantage to that is, especially for $1, because the rates are so low, and budget, typically long lines develop in the afternoon there, and you could spend 30 to 45 minutes just waiting in line to pick up your rental car. But if you join their free frequent renter clubs, you can get in the VIP line and bypass everyone else and pick up your car in like 10 minutes, and they'll have all of your information already entered in the computer. You just sign the receipt and go, which is really, really a huge advantage, especially when you first get to Orlando. You just want to get to Disney World. So I think joining those free clubs is definitely the way to go there.
It really pays to check on all the companies who have counters at the terminal, because you never know when you're going to find a good deal. And besides Mouse Savers, the entertainment book usually has really, really good coupons. If you're a member of AAA, there are so many avenues that you could try. I found a great code for the marathon week. It was a Walmart code. I got an SUV for the whole week, and it was $125 for an SUV, and it was a GMC Envoy. It was great, and I never would have thought I'd be able to rent an SUV for a week for $125. So it was just one of those things where you never know. You have to really go through the whole research mode, and Mouse Savers is a great place to start. If you're a member of AARP, you can sometimes get a great deal. AAA, you really need to look at all the different discounts that are open to you, and look at actually every single car rental company down there, and choose what's best for your wallet.
Yeah,
it's great. Well, that's it for us today. This has been episode number 56 of Walt Disney World Today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.